All right, hello, everybody. Welcome back to the podcast. Jesus, welcome back to the Anime for our podcast. We are getting close to the end of the My Hero Academia anime and the start of the new Ruroni Kenshin anime. But as I'm gonna actually preface a lot of this for when we get to the review for My Hero Academia, I'm just gonna be gushing about Uraraka, and then that'll probably be the end of the review because I don't think I can say much more. I'll let Jock get in there with what he wants to say with that one, and then we'll talk about the My Hero Academia. We'll talk about Ruroni Kenshin season one because no season two because that will be taking up. That'll be the main anime. I think post next week because I think the next week My Hero is on its finale for the season. But yeah, first of all, I wanted to, as we were talking during the pre-show here, something I wanted to actually incorporate into the podcast. We have to do random things every now. At least I'll have to do random things every now and then, just random non-anime related things. But a lot of people, I'm pretty sure once I say this, you'll actually know what I'm talking about. But I want to hear Spears' reaction to this. So, I found out I think sometime last year about sugar-free gummy bears that have caused a lot of people some intestinal pain. Uh, It was like I think the Haribo sugar-free gummy bears. You can buy them online in like a pound batches or whatever. And apparently, people have been eating these things, and they've been having some interesting side effects. And the podcast I was listening to telling me this tale. Pretty much, they already. I listened to it, and it was like probably the funniest tale I ever heard. And it was just about a guy who ate these gummy bears. I think ate enough to cause some problems, and he needed to go and get a Keurig machine. He went to Walmart, and the the man the things that happened to him when he was in that Walmart. Yeah, we just say that the Keurig was like the least last thing on his mind. But that is not the story I'm here to tell you guys. There's another tale of a guy who was in a airport and he had these gummy bears, and the story he told as he was going through TSA, and the story that and the way the story ended. I'm sorry, I'm just laughing because I remember reading this and still in disbelief that this actually happened. But whatever. This guy left. I'm not gonna like say his name, um, but uh, but this guy was pretty 60 years old apparently. So he left a review. Apparently, he left a review on this on these gummy bears in 2016, and I think this happened to him. When did he say this happened to him? April 2013. So 3 years after the fact, he decided to write this review, and I think the contents of it will explain why he waited so long to tell this. So here it goes. This is a story before we get onto the main podcast. And for people who don't want to listen to this, you can skip ahead. But I'm pretty sure you're missing out on like something really good. I'm probably gonna have to get this clipped. But here we go. Title of the review. It's a 1-star review, by the way. Title of the review is "Hell Holds No Surprises for Me Anymore." This is a cautionary tale, and unlike most of the other reviews on this product, this is a true story, and this authenticity can be qualified by a small news item that appeared in the Toronto Star's local news section during the month of April in 2013, much to my charging. Wait, so this appeared in the news section of the Toronto Star? I need to look that up. I was wondering if I could find it, and I couldn't find it online. Apparently, okay, so I didn't read this part. I went straight to the crap, but um, I would consider myself a prudent man, not given to the bouts of outspokenness or craving attention, and certainly not one to rock the boat. On any given day, I can be found reading a crime novel on a park bench in the middle of the city, soaking in the opulence of nature, while nibbling on my tuna fish sandwiches and fending off the voracious gulls and squirrels that threaten to spoil my repose. I just want to also preface, he uses a lot of colorful language in this thing, and I'm like, he paints a picture so vivid that I had to stop reading at some point and start laughing. Uh, but he paints a really interesting. The guy is apparently Canadian. I thought he was a UK, but apparently he's Canadian. I can't believe I misunderstood where he was from. But see, where was I? They're my just ready to spoil my repos. This is me, law-abiding and introspective, which is why it came as a shock to me to find myself incarcerated because of the devil's confectionery, Satan's sweet meat, Lucifer's lozenges, the horror that is known as Haribo sugar-free gummy bears. So, so far, how's how's this been? How is this set up? Hello, you still? Uh, I'll set the scene. It was a late winter slash early spring in Toronto, and the city had been digging itself out from a late snowstorm, late season snowstorm. What the heck? Wait, what's this? They have to save this for next podcast. I haven't read this, but apparently you think it's funny. I have to save that for next podcast. Or maybe we can save it for the end. We'll have to see. We have enough time for it. Um, let's see. Where was I? Oh, digging yourself out from a late season snowstorm. Yeah, it's really interesting. Sometimes it can snow in April. I don't know when I saw that as a kid. I was very weirded out by it. Uh, I was heading to Pearson International Airport for a red-eye flight to Amsterdam in order to give the Dutch arm of our company some training on the new software that had been installed. I'm deliberately being vague to prevent my place of work from being linked in any way to the incident that occurred. And you will soon find out why. What you had to say? I had just finished packing, checking the time, and found I was running late. My flight was at 7:10 p.m. and it was now almost 5 p.m. Cursing softly, I ran out to the car and threw my bags in the trunk, hitting the gas a little harder than usual in my haste to make it to the long-term parking lot as soon as possible. Luckily, traffic was light on 401, and I made it to the airport in record time. But none of my chances of making a flight were still at risk if I didn't use my time wisely. I hadn't eaten since lunch, and I was feeling a bit hungry. My stomach rumbling loudly in protestation, which caused me to look around at the other travelers rushing past me in busy terminal. Mortified that my bodily noises might be heard by others, I briskly checked my watch and decided that I had enough time to grab a quick snack before going through the baggage check and security, and would get something more substantial once I was checked in thoroughly on security. I spotted a vending machine nestled in a relatively low traffic corner of the terminal and rushed over, already pulling out my credit card and mentally assessing what I had a craving for so as to save time interacting with the machine. My eyes scanned the colorful array of confection, quickly coming to rest on a tantalizing rainbow colored bag of gummy bears with the simple white and red logo Haribo emblazoned across the bag and what appeared to be a slightly tweaked Helvetica rounded font. Now I had to pause here in the story for a moment to underscore the importance of making proper choices. I was hungry. When you're hungry, you should eat food. Food is defined as nutritious substance that people consume to maintain life. That is what food is. These days, the definition of the word food has been bastardized, and the meaning has been broadened to include veritably any material that can be digested or rather chewed and swallowed without causing death or severe illness. I'm gonna pause here and say that, as you can tell, he's very he's in his 60s. I want to keep pointing this out too. I think it's what he says. He lets you know his age somewhere later in this review. But huh? I think yeah, he's in his 60s. But what I'm saying, what I like his he's very literate. That's the best way to put it. The like he paints a picture, and this story made me laugh so much that I was crying. I'm trying to keep my laughter at a low level. But every time I'm reading, just remembering how I was feeling the first time I read this. But I really like the picture he paints. He's very, very literate. Like, I'm actually surprised. I didn't think you could use these many words and still describe a pretty good picture of what's going on. Um, so let's see. Take a stop. Food digested, rather to not cause death or severe illness. Haribo. These are in quotation marks, mind you. Haribo sugar-free gummy bears are not food. They aren't even from this planet. I imagine their origins being conceived in a boardroom in hell by the top team of creative pain administrators, with senior level demons rubbing their hands together in a ghoulish delight as hell's chief chemist slowly lifts the veil on their new creation. I got to this point, I just started thinking about you because I feel like you'd be this colorful yourself if you could. You know I'm right because you're laughing. I was like, what? This wasn't you, but um, the point here being, I made a very, very, very poor choice. I pushed the button, and the vending machine ejected the brightly colored bag into my awaiting hands. I had always liked gummy bears. They were bright but rather innocuous. They weren't overly sweet, so as to become cloying, and of course, each candy came in a visage of a rather happy, docile bear, reminiscent of the pictures one mind's eye holds of all anthropomorphic bears from Yogi to Winnie. The way I figured it, I was taking a bit of a holiday from life so I could relax my fastidious, regimented daily schedule a little to allow for some frivolity. After all, I was going to be in Amsterdam come morning with 16 hours to kill before I had to be training the Dutch employees. Maybe I would take a trip down to one of the coffee shops in the red light district and really let my hair down. No, I wouldn't do that. I would see the area of the city from the bus as I went to the hotel, where I would eat at the hotel restaurant and drink sparkling water. So I better enjoy the gummy bears, my one extravagance, to commemorate my break from my routine. Again, very literate. Um, I joined the queue in the KLM line, which was mercifully short, most likely because of all the passengers for my flight had already been checked through, as the flight was scheduled to depart in an hour. I checked my watch again, frowned, and absentmindedly opened the bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears, and began to munch on them as the line slowly advanced. To be fair, they tasted fine, just like every other manufacturer's brand of colorful candy, and they were sugar-free to boot. This is what made the whole incident that followed so baffling. If they had tasted off or different, I most likely wouldn't have continued to shovel them into my mouth absentmindedly while daydreaming about what I would order to eat from the room service in my hotel in Amsterdam. And now the story begins. Sorry, that was a lot of exposition, but I needed to read that just to give a crux of this guy and like what do you pretty much. As I gave the attendant my e-ticket, she weighed my bags the first wait. As I gave the attendant my e-ticket and she weighed my bags, the first of the pains began in my stomach. I thought nothing of it at first, chalking it up to the fact that I needed something more substantial than gummy worms to tackle my hunger. But over the course of the next 5 minutes, the shooting pain began to come in more rapid succession. At this point, I had my boarding pass printed and rubbing my stomach a little. I proceeded to security. I briefly entertained the thought of trying to find a restroom before going through the security, but at that point my discomfort was manageable and I didn't think it was going to get any worse. Certainly not within the amount of time it would take to clear security. I read that point and I stood there and said, yeah, that was your first mistake. I joined the line, started fishing for my passport to present to the agent checking tickets. I felt a thin sheen of sweat break out on my forehead and underarms, and my features flushed for a moment as a wave of heat washed over me. I didn't pay it much heed, as going through security always caused me anxiety, and I chalked it up to pre-flight jitters. It was only as I stood face to face with the agent and handed her my passport and ticket that I had a glimpse of the agony that was about to begin. It felt like time rippled for a moment, as if my consciousness buckled so intense as my consciousness buck as my consciousness buckled, so intense was the pain that fired through my bowels. I grimaced spastically and emitted a low moan, and felt myself take an involuntary step sideways. Stars shot. Stars shot through my. Stars shot through my head briefly, and my vision blurred, and I snapped back into focus. The agent was staring at me with slight consternation and asked me if I was all right. I pulled myself together and stood straight and declared that I was fine, mortified that I had had a lapse of decorum not only in public but at the security clearance in an airport. As I fumbled off my belt to go through the metal detector, the pain in my stomach increased, and I practically had to sit on the floor to take my shoes off, terrified of what would happen if I bent at the middle to do it. It was becoming increasingly more evident to me that this wasn't just a stomach ache. No, this was something much worse. As a child, I had a bout of diarrhea after a trip to Mexico with my family. I remember the feeling of nausea that swept through me before my child self had surrendered to the gas pains and parked myself on the toilet for an hour shitting until I felt like I didn't have any bones left. And that was how I was feeling now, with several key differences. The pain was worse. The sense of impending bowel movement was so formidable it gave me temporary amnesia. And it took all my willpower. Wait till you hear the rest of this. He used a lot of words. It took it took all my willpower, all of it, to clench my butt cheeks together to prevent my sphincter from exploding. I'm gonna just also put out a warning. I probably should have already put out a warning on this before. This is about to get quite graphic. If you don't want to be here for this, I recommend muting me. It's just for your sake. Um, a sudden shock of pain racked my body, and I half wondered if I was going to give birth to a Tasmanian devil. That crazy fever-induced image of the sad cartoon animal chasing Bugs Bunny through the splashy volcanic shit kettle that was my stomach caused me to elicit a short, maniacal bark of laughter as I approached the metal detector. A wild, distinct look in my eyes, sweat now beginning to my pour off me like a long distance runner in Kenya. Don't know why he went there, but whatever. The security agent on the other side of the detector shot a quick glance over to her coworker, who narrowed his eyes and made a subtle movement towards his holster. My breathing became uneven as I entered the metal detector, and I realized with alarm that I had taken off my socks without even registering it, and one of my shirt tails was untucked at the front. I held my breath, my eyes bulging dangerously from my head as the machine scanned me. As I shakily moved forward towards the agent for a pat down, my stomach began to elicit sounds that can only be described as otherworldly. It started off a sort of bubbling sound heard from afar, and grew in pitch and intensity at an alarming rate. My jaw dropped in shock as what I can only describe as the sound of an agonizing, wailing alley cat in heat with a persistent Doppler effect added added to his voice emitted from some nether region of my intestines. The officer's eyes widened in alarm, and she kept her eyes glued to my stomach as she thoroughly patted me down. As she reached my shins, I felt my innards suddenly expand and plummet towards my rectum. With cat-like reflexes, I squeezed my sphincter shut with what seems like nanoseconds to spare, and I knew that if I didn't get to the bathroom immediately, I would myself. Let me? Jeez. With a Herculean effort and all the strength that I could muster, I forced my butt cheeks together, knowing that one false move would open the floodgates. I began to walk like a duck. I began to walk like a duck, trying to remain. Dang it! I can't. I can't. I began to walk like a duck, trying to remain as inconspicuous as possible, not even caring now what other people were seeing in front of them. A disheveled, barefoot, 40-year-old businessman. Okay, sorry, he was 40 years old. He was 60. 40 years old. Barefoot, 40-year-old businessman, red-faced and bulgy-eyed, sweating profusely, shaking slightly, and walking without bending his knees. With single-minded intensity, I grabbed my carry-on, shoes and socks from out of the plastic tub, that it passed the X-ray inspection. Without putting anything back on, I turned on my heels with the intention of finding the nearest restroom and slowly dying there one squirt at a time. But that's not what happened. Okay, Act 3. That's not there, but I decided to call it Act 3. Um, huh? That's what I'm calling it. It's not here. That's what I'm calling it. I turned to go and found myself staring at three armed agents who stopped me and asked if I would follow them. Why? What's the matter? I stammered, wincing slightly as the act of speech seemed to strain a tenuous and extremely fragile truce I had negotiated between my bowels and the tempest that raged within me. I have to go to the bathroom right now, I pleaded. Just follow us, please, he said, leaving no room for argument. The other travelers, clearing security checks, stared with curiosity and revulsion at the spectacle unfolding before them. Whispering amongst themselves and hurrying to pack up their belongings and get as far away from me as possible, no doubt assuming that the airport had nabbed some sort of domestic terrorist. If I hadn't been feverishly trying to hold back the eruption of Mount Vesuvius, I likely would have died of shame. Knew you were going to say something about that. Okay. With each step I took towards the room that they ushered me into, I felt that my legs would give way. I marveled at how strong the human will could be, marveled at what was essentially patching a hole in the Hoover Dam with bubblegum could actually be sustained indefinitely. Maybe I would make it through this ordeal after all. The room they brought me into was an examination room. I had pretty much stopped registering details of my environment as my consciousness closed off all but the absolutely necessary functions: breathing, ability to walk. But I snapped back to reality when I heard the snap of rubber. The slow dawning of realization poked through my agony and stoic resolve as I turned to face an agent donning rubber gloves. I think you know where this is going. If you don't, I'm going to tell you. This is the guy with the rubber gloves, by the way. Sir, we're going to perform a cavity search on you. A young, fresh-faced agent stated in a firm but emotionless voice. His short-cropped blonde hair was immaculate, and for a crazy moment I wondered if he was an actor and this was all some sort of elaborate practical joke done to amuse bored kids watching YouTube. He must have taken my tortured silence for resistance because he looked at me sharply and said, "Lower your pants and underwear, please, and face the desk." Panic started to grip me in his icy grasp, and the sudden adrenaline threatened to destroy my sphincter's bulwarks and rend my anus in two. Oh, good lord. Uh, I'm gonna die of laughter here at this point. Let's see. Icy grasp and the sudden adrenaline threatened to destroy. Yeah, I read that. I inhaled sharply, and with a pain gasp, I doubled up my efforts to clench my cheeks together. Sir, please, I begged, deferring to this kid in an act of desperation. I had to go to the bathroom. You can follow me into the stall if you need to, but I've had some bad, horrible, sugar-free gummy bears, and now I feel like. But they had stopped listening and smirked at each other. Two of the other agents, a tall, dark-haired female and a shorter, balding fat man, looked away from me, and I could see them shaking a little as they stifled their laughs. Sir, face the wall and put your hands on the desk and spread your cheeks. The young agent started, a lopsided grin on his face. But I began to protest, and then a fresh shock of pain forced me to stop and lean on the table for support as an ungodly howl rose from my stomach. Something began between the dying moans of a woolly mammoth and the sound of bubble wrap popping underwater. I exhaled shakily, and my focus began to narrow as I rallied for the final battle. Shaking uncontrollably and sweat literally raining down onto the tabletop in front of me, I turned to face the wall and heard a meek, childlike voice pleading from somewhere in the room. "Please," it said, and then again, "Please." From somewhere within me, my mind recognized that the sound had issued from me, although my consciousness had begun to separate from my body, and I held my breath and prayed to God for strength. "He probably got some heroin or something up there that opened up," the female guard said, as the part of me that hadn't escaped into the ether yet acknowledged that she was behind me to my left, probably high as a kite. "Look at him," she said. The shorter guard agreed with a snort off to my right. Spread your cheeks, the young agent said, his voice directly behind me and lower than the other two, and bend over. Please God, oh please God, please God, oh please God, please God. I whispered a desperate maniacal mantra, not even aware of my surroundings anymore. I felt like I was lost in an opium fog of half-snatched images and sounds filtering through to create a nonsensical version of reality. Another volley of pain tore through me, and I involuntarily leaned forward over the desk. My focus completely narrowed now to a spot on the wall 2 feet in front of me, a curious imperfection in what seemed to be a whitewashed stone wall. It was a dark blotch about 5 millimeters long and shaped like a smiling bear, a yellow dancing bear, no, a green bear, no, red. It was all the colors of the rainbow. My God, it was beautiful. Okay, I gotta get through this. It just took something as simple as a slight breeze to trigger Armageddon. That's all. No trumpets, no fanfare, no fire raining from the heavens, no dogs and cats living together in harmony, no finger on the button, no prophet to predict it, no nothing. As I stared at the rainbow bear smiling and dancing in front of me, my mouth agape, drooling, eyes glazed and bloodshot, face coated with a sheen of sweat. I heard the softest sound, an exhalation from the young agent from behind me, and then at the same instant, the warm air of his breath feather across my butt cheeks. For a moment, maybe less, maybe a split second, even a nanosecond, I felt the presence of God there with me in the room. In the room that, as the neurons began to misfire at a blinding rate, nerve ending bristled and muscles twitched reflexively, I stood on the brink with one foot hovering over the edge, and then without taking a step, I found myself plummeting. I think this is where it gets really graphic. With a sound like an extra large plastic ketchup bottle being run over by a Mack truck, my sphincter released. The pressure of the blast pushed me hardest to the desk, and the legs of desk. It's still going too. The pressure of the blast pushed me hard into the desk, and legs of the desk screeched as they scraped across the floor. My body remained rigid for a moment, and I experienced a relief that could only be described as orgasmic in its purity. My eyes rolled back in my head, my tongue rolled out of my head like a half retarded dog, and I emitted a low, sustained groan that grew in pitch as the filthy torrent pushed its way out of my body. Tremors wrecked my body, and I must have looked like a fish out of water with endless streamage firing out of my ass. Other sounds and sensations started to filter in now as my consciousness began to materialize once more. The muffled scream of a dungeon filled with prisoners near death radiated from my stomach. The rushing sound of liters of liquid trying to escape through an aperture too small to accommodate it all at the same time. The omnipresent solid chunky liquid splattering against the hard surface with great force. The high-pitched screaming of a woman's voice calling out to God, another voice sobbing uncontrollably, wanting to make it stop. Oh, God. If I could make it through that one, imploring to make it stop in my own ecstatic monotone wail. Oh, God. It's not crying. This is freaking hilarious. Second time through, jeez. Uh, my ordeal had eventually run its course. I was left panting for breath and wobbling legged, half crying, half laughing in relief, barely lucid, and feeling as I had birthed an elephant. My colon felt like someone had poured chili sauce all over it and then sent a colony of fire ants to eat it. Through my sobs, I heard the sound of dripping, like when the sprinklers were eventually turned off after an office fire, or after a thunderstorm when the willow that overhangs a pond continues to rain down long after the sky has stopped. From behind me, the sobbing continued, and I heard someone trying to speak in a walkie-talkie, but nonsensical words were all the man could speak, but sounded like the ravings of a lunatic. With great relief, I slowly pulled myself off the table, legs trembling, my stomach eliciting one last sound, a loud, prolonged gas bubbling that eerily resembled a pig orgasm. I slowly turned my head to survey the yes, a pig orgasm. Yes, yes. I slowly turned my head to survey the devastation in that instant. If I had a pencil or some other sharp object, I probably would have gouged my eyes out in revulsion. And the smell. The smell was enough to drive a man insane. It was a stench of rotting potatoes mixed with sulfur and ammonia, cooked in a broth of chicken feces and left to age for 2 weeks in a yeasty stew at the bottom of a French outhouse. After half, after half a whiff of this ghoulish brine, I immediately stopped breathing through my nose, but the taste was to remain in the back of my throat for months to come. The young agent had taken the brunt of the foul witch's brew, and at first I couldn't process what I was seeing. I thought somehow the young blonde kid had spirited away and was replaced by a brown golem, or an ATV rider that had spent the better part of a day driving through every mud puddle he could find after a torrential downpour. With some degree of compartmentalization, I came to realize that for some unfathomable reason, this kid hadn't moved, or hadn't been able to move through the entire fecal deluge. He had weathered the entire assault head on like some sort of hero from Greek mythology. I had given this poor schmuck a one man bukkake that would make a Brazilian pornographer rich with disgust. And he was still in the same position that he had been from the moment of first impact. I tried to comprehend how he must be feeling, what he must be going through psychologically, but it became evident very quickly that he had become very broken, no doubt forced so deeply within himself once the fire hose had been turned on that there was little to no hope of him ever coming back from it. Certainly not without extensive psychotherapy or lobotomy. The lobotomy thing, I'm kind of confused by it, but okay. I looked beyond this quivering, catatonic crouched form to see a perfect outline of him cut out on the white wall behind him. Either side filled with a dripping, opaque layer of alternately pulpy and runny fecal stew. I noticed two quivering masses at either extremes of the room and realized they were humanoid in form, although the caterwauling that was coming from these broken creatures was just blubbering gibberish, and this was the tableau that was burnt into my mind's eye for eternity. Because I think that's tableau. I don't know how you pronounce that. Needless to say, I missed my flight. No kidding. In fact, the next week is a blur. I have vague recollections of an army of hazmat-clad figures looming through the brown landscape of the soiled room, the sopping sounds of rubber boots. I mean, of course you missed your flight at that. Um, see, um, um, see, through the brown landscape of the sword room, the slopping sounds of rubber boots squelching in a puddle of fecal distress, uncontrollable wailing and animal-like sounds issuing from the mouths of creatures that had been traumatized beyond their capacity for being put back together. The complete loss of sensation from my waist down as I rolled through the room on the waterproof gurney, its rolls struggling to surface the surf on top of the soaked floor. I spent a week or so Wait, yeah, I spent a week or so in the hospital, enclosed in a well-ventilated, sealed room with suited doctor coming in on the hour to monitor my vital signs as they tried to rehydrate my body. I had apparently expelled every available drop of water from my body that was possible to sustain life without for a short period of time. All my clothes were incinerated in the hospital's crematorium, and the soiled bag of Haribo sugar. Yes, the incinerated in the crematorium of the hospital. Yes. And the soiled bag of Haribo sugar-free gummy bears was never recovered. This is my story. It's inconceivable to think that this kind of product can be sold legally and be misrepresented as food. I was lucky I survived, but as for the families of the survivors and the survivors themselves, they will live forever with the trauma of the events that took place at Pearson International Airport on that snowy day, April 2013. And that's kind of what I thought when I got to the end of it, because I was like, "There's no way this." But apparently, there's apparently an article somewhere in the Toronto News that talks about this, and I would love to find it. Because I will want to know, is like, okay, if this really happened, I want to know what was said in the news article. Because like he mentions that he was incarcerated. I'm guessing that means he must have been incarcerated in the hospital room where he was for a long time. Maybe they thought he had Ebola. Like when was Ebola like a huge thing? Was that 2018? See here, first human 2014, 2016. Okay, so yeah, that would have fit within them trying to incarcerate him. They weren't sure if he had the disease or not. Yeah, I wonder what happened to that kid that must have been his first day of work based on the way that he described him, because he had a really clean haircut and he was ready to do his job and whatnot. And he made all kinds of jokes too. So to me, it sounds like he must have, maybe it was his first week. Um, I would quit after that, and then like hide in a corner and never come out. Like I would not want to go out into the world ever again after that. Yeah, there's my story. Um, so thoughts, questions, concerns. Oh, I don't have the sound effects on my. I need to get that. Damn it! One time I could have used them. Frick. But yeah, that was a. Oh shoot! No, no, crap. Well, actually, no. I think they heard me. I hope they did. I don't think they heard you though, because I don't have you on Discord. I don't have Discord showing on the beginning stream. Huh. You can repeat what you said. I know it was just like a phrase.
The last thing I said was "Holy crap," wasn't it?
Yeah, I think. Uh, okay. I was like waiting to like really wanted to share that with you.
That person went on quite a roller coaster of adventure because of those gummy bears.
Yeah, apparently there's like a lot more stories on like, because like the Walmart store, the Keurig, he explained he didn't use like the language that he used here. I mean, there was like a lot of cursing, but the guy in the Walmart who went to Keurig machine, he went through like a lot more. Was it his story ended on a toilet that was like covered in pee when when he expelled when he expelled the gummy bears out of his body. Yeah, like that. Apparently, the stuff in the sugar free gummy bears is not meant for food. I don't know how it got in the food, but it was not meant for food. Because enough of it or whatever, like sugar or whatever's in them things, you have enough of it, you end up having diarrhea. And diarrhea is no fun. But okay, I think enough of the crap talk. we're gonna um we're gonna do exactly what I said, which was like I'm just gonna gush about Uraka here and maybe talk about Toga for a few. I don't have a lot. There's not really much to say I can say about this episode other than it's a fight between Uraka and Toga. But more like Uraka trying to like calm Toga down and get to talk to her, because she's been spending a lot of time trying to get a chance to talk with Toga, for most of the show after her first interaction with her apparently. Um,
Are you going to read the yoga mat thing later?
um, do you think it can be done really quickly? Do you want to read it?
Uh,
Because I kind of like, I really went on a long story there, and I probably need water to. Oh,
I
jeez.
don't. You don't have to read it out loud necessarily.
Uh, Maybe I can get through this really quickly. It doesn't look as long as the story that was told. There are paragraphs in that thing. Uh, yoga mat for sale used once. I don't like the name of that title. uh, yoga mat for sale used once at lunch hour. Wait, what? Used once at lunch hour class in December 2009. I want to point out 2009 was the year I was in high school. Actually, senior year. Yusha's timeline follows. 11:45 a.m. Register for hot yoga class. Infinite Wisdom tells me to commit to a 5 class package and purchase a yoga mat. I pay $89 for a yoga mat used. Aren't yoga mats cheaper than that? Or am I wrong?
I think it might also be the classes.
Oh, okay. Money well spent, I smugly confirmed to myself. 11:55. Open door to yoga room. A gush of hot, dry air rushes through and past me. It smells of breath, sweat, and hot. Excuse me? To take a spot on the floor in the back of the room next to cute blonde. We will date. He's very confident. Or she. I don't know. Next to gender. 11:57. I feel the need to be near. Wait, what? I feel the need to be as near to naked as possible. This problem because of the hot blonde to my left and our pending courtship. She will not be pleased to learn that I need to lose 30 pounds before I propose to her. Okay. 11:58. Wait, what? A minute later, the shirt and sweats have to come off. Throw a cannon to the wind. Wait, I throw caution to the wind and decide to rely on my wit and conditioning to overcome my weight issues. My fiance may take issue with. Wait a minute, I'm sorry, but like I gotta point this out. He started he started the entire thing off with this hot blonde. Doesn't even sound like he knows her name, first of all, so he doesn't know her. And as we get further into here, by like what is it? Like what uh he calls her fiance. I just saw the word bride in the sentence there. So we go from being that we will date to apparently he's already proposed to her. What? Meanwhile, he's talking about that he's got weight issues, which, by the way, I don't think comes up until like, yeah, it doesn't come up till like 8:57. So like 2 minutes after him sitting down next to her, he's got weight issues. What? The shirt and the sweats have to come off. I throw a caution to the wind. Conditioning overcome my weight issues. This will take a lot of wit in the conditioning. 11:59. Small talk with my bride to be. What the heck? She pretends to ignore me, but I know how she can be. Okay, you're bolder than I am. I allow her to concentrate and stare straight ahead and continue to pretend that I don't exist. As we finish sharing our special moment, I am suddenly aware of a sweat mustache that was formed below my nose. This must be from all the whispering between us.
Do
This
you
is
see
good.
how this is similar to the other one?
It's like I mean, like there's definitely a story being told.
Yes.
There's a story being told here. 11:59. Oh dear, we're not even at 12 o'clock yet. Begin small talk with my bride to be. She pretends. Oh, alright, been here. 12 o'clock. Oh dear God, where's this gonna go? Instructor enters the room and ascends her special podium at the front of the room. She is a slight, agitated Chinese woman. She introduces me to the class, and everyone turns around to greet me just as I decide to aggressively adjust my penis and testes packed into my Under Armour. My bride is notably unfazed. Okay. 12:02, 2 minutes later. Since I do have experience with hot yoga 4 sessions just 5 short years ago, I fully consider that I may be so outstanding in skill that my instructor may call me out and ask me to guide the class. My okay. My wife will look on with a sparkle in her eyes. We will make love after class. 12:10. It is now up to 95 degrees in this room. We have been practicing deep breathing exercises for the last 8 minutes. This would not be a problem if we were all breathing actual, oxygen. Instead, we are breathing each other's body odor, expelled carbon dioxide, and other unmentionables. Don't worry, I'll mention them later. Okay, thank you. I didn't need to know this. It is now 100 degrees, and I take notice of the humidity, which is hovering at about 90%. By the way, it is like that last message was at 12:10, and it's now 12:26, so 16 minutes have passed, and it's at 100 degrees, and it was like 92, 95. So 5 minutes. Jeez. Um, I feel the familiar, adoring stare of my bride and decide to look back at her. She appears to be nauseated. I then realize that I forgot to brush my teeth prior to attending this class. We bond. Are you aware of this like YouTube? Like, well, it's no longer a series anymore because like they ended it a couple years ago. Now, but are you aware of this YouTube series called Jake and Amir?
No.
I think you should check it out because it's just as ridiculous humor there. There's short videos, but it's just like two guys, um, pretty much working in the office, and then like, Amir is he's like an annoying coworker, and he's doing all kinds of random stuff. But this story kind of reminds me of something that he would say, just in general. The character Amir. You should probably look it up if you ever need a laugh. They're really short videos, but this is reminding me of something he would actually say. Like, I feel like he must. I think he said something similar to this at some point. I think. Like this is ridiculous. Like this is like uh 12:33. It is not 110 degrees and 90% humidity, 95% humidity. Sorry, I am now balancing on one leg with the other leg crossed over the other. My arms are intertwined and I am squatting. The last time I was in this position was 44 years ago in the womb. But I'm in this for the long haul. My wife looks slowly weathered, dripping sweat, and her eyeliner is streaming down her face. Well, for the better or for worse, is what we committed to, so we press on. I don't think she committed to anything. I think there's a lot of assumptions being made here. The overweight Hispanic man, 2 spots over, has sweat running down his legs. At least I think it's sweat. He is holding every position and has not had a sip of water since we walked in. He's making me look bad, and I hate him. 12:44. I consider that if anyone in this room farted, we would all certainly perish. I'm sorry. No, wait. No. We go through this entire story of this woman that he probably doesn't even know he's behind her, and he's already made up this whole elaborate story of he's married, and then we go to, by the way, this fat Hispanic who I've never mentioned not until just now, and then this room is all hot, and I bet if somebody just let out one quick earth shaker, we all would die.
Mm-hmm.
What in the world? It's not even an hour yet. What the heck? 12:52. It's now 140 degrees and 100% humidity. I am covered from head to toe in sweat. There is not a square millimeter on my body that is not slippery and sweaty. I am so slimy that I felt like a sea lion or maybe a sea eel. Not even a bear trap could hold me. The sweat is stinging my eyeballs and I can no longer see. 12:55. The room stinks of asparagus, cloves, tuna, and tacos. It's a very eclectic group of stuff to smell in that room. There's no food in the room. I realize that this is an amalgamation of the body's odors of 30 people in a 140-degree room from the last 55 minutes. Seriously, enough with the asparagus, okay?
I feel
One,
like asparagus is the worst smell of those four.
I've smelt tuna in the room, and I'm not gonna say like what genders were present in the room, but it's not a. I rather that's not a pleasant smell either. It gets really bad too if it lingers. 140 degrees and 130% humidity. Look, bitch, I need my space here, so don't get all pissy with me if I accidentally spray you with sweat as I flip over. Seriously, is this where this relationship is going? Get over yourself. We need counseling, and she needs to be medicated. Stat. What in the world? Is he going through this 5 stage? I'm not sure how many like 5 stages of grief in this entire freaking excerpt. Jeez, 109, 150 degrees and cloudy and hot. I am no longer I can no longer move my limbs on my own. I have given up on attempting any of the commands this Chinese chick is yelling at us. I will lay sedentary until the aid unit arrives. I will buy this building and then I'll have it destroyed. I lose consciousness. Okay. 115. I have a headache and my wife is being a selfish bitch. I can't really breathe.
I love that he's like now progressing into like divorce territory.
Yeah, I'm seeing this is where this is going, and I'm like, he's already married her, and they're already at the point of like they don't like each other, and she has no idea this is happening behind her. All I can think about, all I can think about is holding a cup worth of hot sand in my mouth. I cannot remember what an ice cube is, and cannot remember what snow looks like. I considered that my only escape might be a crab walk across 15 bodies and then out of the room. I am paralyzed and may never walk again, so the whole crab walk thing is pretty much out. I cannot move at all, cannot reach my water. Is breathing voluntary or involuntary? If it's voluntary, I'm screwed. Okay, now he's contemplating life. What is happening here? I stopped participating in class 20 minutes ago. Hey lady, I paid for freaking class, okay? You work for me. Stop yelling at everyone and just tell us a story or something. It's like juice and cracker time, okay? Oh wow, really? It's not
that's,
160. Hmm?
that's good times.
It's not 165 degrees, and moisture is dripping from the ceiling. The towel that I am laying on this is no longer providing any wicking or drying properties. It's actually placing additional sweat on me as I touch it. My towel reeks. I cannot identify the smell, but no way can it be for me. Does someone spray some stank on my towel or something? 134. My opportunity to escape has arrived. I roll over to my stomach and press up on my knees. It's warmer
You
as
missed
I.
130.
Hmm?
You missed 130.
Did I? Oh.
Yeah.
1:30. Torture session is over. I wish hateful things upon the instructors. He graciously allows us to stay and cool down in the room. It is 175 degrees. Who cools down at 175 degrees? A Komodo dragon? My wife has left the room, probably to throw up. Oh no, is she pregnant? What the world? My opportunity to escape has arrived. I roll over to my stomach and press up on my knees. It is warmer as I rise up from the ground level, probably like 15 degrees. Probably by 15 degrees, sorry. So let's conservatively say it's 190. I'm conservative. You've been going up this entire whatever. Like I muster my vital energy and slowly rise, one foot in front of the other, one foot in front of the other, towards the door. 130, 130, geez, 1:37 p.m. The temperature in the lobby is 72 degrees. Both nipples stiffen the diamond strength, and my penis begins to retract in my abdomen from 100 degrees temp swing. I can once again breathe, though, so I am pleased. My spot I spot my future wife in it. Now she's
Future,
your future wife. What in the world? I spot my future.
future ex-wife.
Oh, jeez. Future ex-wife in the lobby. So they got divorced within the 3 minutes that passed. What the world? I wonder what people really do in their mind. I spot my future ex-wife in the lobby. We had such a good time going, but I know that no measure of counseling will be able to unravel the day's turmoil and mental scarring. 147. 10 minutes have passed from the last one. Are you kidding me? Arrive at Emerald City Smoothie. Proceed to order a 32-ounce beverage, 402 calories, 0 fat, and 14 grams of protein, effectively negating any caloric burn or benefit from the last 90 minutes. I finished it in 3 minutes and spend the next 2 hours writing this memoir. Okay. About an hour or so has passed. Actually, no, 2 hours have passed. 347. Create Craigslist ad while burning final 2 grams of protein from smoothie in before the shakes consume my body. What? 4:29 p.m. Note to else. Check car for missing wet yoga towel in AM. Location Bellevue. It is not okay to contact this poster with services or other commercial interests. I'm pretty sure that's a part of like the Craigslist thing. He didn't write that, but still. People like
That
to
is
write. Hmm?
the best of Craigslist.
I'm pretty sure he wrote this story just to make a story, and he's trying to sell this dirty thing.
I mean, he doesn't even have a price for it, so it makes sense.
Okay, I think we've already grossed out the people on the podcast. If there's anybody still here, oh well, at least we can like. I guess people's palates can be cleansed from the diarrhea, but gummy bears. Okay, really quick. As I said before, I was gonna discuss about Uraraka here. I made mention throughout the course I was reviewing this show from the I think season 2 when we first started because we didn't review season 1 because well we watched season 1 all the way through and we weren't expecting because I wasn't expecting it to like it as much and we decided to add it to the podcast. But I like Uraraka. I really do. She's definitely my favorite female character. Um
I thought you liked your friend Jack more.
no, I like Uraraka more. Airphone Jack is definitely up there in the list of female characters I like, but I think Uraraka might be my favorite female character. I think Airphone Jack is like number 2.
Oh, okay.
If I made illusions, I think Earphone Jack's a favorite. I did mean that. I do like her. I'm not gonna sit there and say I don't like Earphone Jack, but you know, I think Rocket just in general for me, I like the character. I initially knew immediately that she was gonna be like the the I guess the love interest at some point. I honestly thought they were gonna go with that angle at first, until they did, and then when they decided to go the other route with her not dealing with her feelings, which they're still not having her do, even though they kind of have her say her feelings for Deku to Toga randomly, kind of in the middle of a fight. Um, which I mean was interesting. I mean, I guess it goes along what she's trying to do, just trying to get Toga to open up to her. But which by the end of it, yes, she does. I mean, pretty much the entire episode is her dealing with Toga, and we learn a little bit more about Toga's background and a lot of the instances that we saw when she was younger. Her parents treating her pretty poorly because of her tendencies to want to drink blood, which I honestly instantly thought, okay, that must have just been her quirk seeking out blood because it needs blood to activate its abilities, which makes sense. Your quirk needs something, so it's gonna get you to seek it out. And for it's been a good time, like like I mean, I'm not saying I don't. It's not. I'm not really feeling. It's not that I don't feel bad for Toka, but at the same time, it's like she could have went a different way, but at the same time, it was her environment that kind of pushed her to be who she is now. Which I guess a lot of these characters, these villains, are kind of that way. That it's their environment that has pushed them to become villains, because heroes weren't doing anything at the time, and society as a whole just disliked them. I mean, Toga's parents literally called her cursed and a demon child, and tried to fix her, quote unquote, which I thought was like really, really messed up. But like back to Uraka, I liked Uraka this episode. She was really trying to, get open up Soga and try to get her to, like try to like understand her better because Uraka found some kinship with her, which was interesting. I gotta say, but I think it's like one of the things I like about Uraka in general is the fact that some of the things she's done completely caught me off guard because it was like, huh, that's interesting. The only thing I really kind of wish there was like I wish there was more episodes dealing with her as like the main focus. Even the episodes that had her as a main focus were kind of short, and even in those episodes too, same problem with Sue or Froppy. Um, the episodes that had her in there, like they were only like for a few minutes. This is probably the most screen time I think Uraka Froppy have ever had in any episode of the show, considering
It's
that it
also
was about them.
it's also the most beat up Froppy's gotten in the show.
Well, I mean,
Froppy
she's,
is just thrashed.
I mean, not as bad as Uraka. Uraka got stabbed in the baby maker, I think, or stomach. Either way. Speaking of that, I'll get a message for Horikoshi, even though he's already finished making the manga. I'm telling you right now, if Uraka dies, you're going to receive a very, very properly worded note in your mail. This is not a threat. This is a promise. I shouldn't say that. I really shouldn't. I'm going to take everything I just said there back, but I really hope. I mean, it doesn't look like she's going to die. At least in the preview that I saw, it looked like because Toga had been Toga had taken her blood and then was wearing her uniform, and they were lying on the ground, and Toga, it didn't look like Uraraka. It was still bleeding, but who knows? But but yeah, basically what I really wanted to say, this episode really highlighted what I liked about her. She she even kind of highlights her journey from being for lack of a better term, selfish, kind of. And it wasn't like selfish for her; it was selfish for her parents. Because she even goes on to say, as she starts trying to talk to Toga and talk Toga down, even with Froppy trying to get her to listen, which is even more interesting too. Is like Sue literally tries to get Toga to listen to Araka, but Araki goes along saying that at first she wanted to be a hero to make her parents' life easier, but as she's gotten to know people and she's gotten to know Deku, she fell in love with him, and then she realized there were people outside her orbit that she could affect and stuff like that, and it kind of developed her in an interesting way of like, because at first when they had the whole idea that she wanted to make money for her parents, I was like, man, not the whole money angle with girls. Why did he do this? Um, because it's a common thing. If you watch enough anime, you kind of find that the first girl they introduce kind of has, depending on what show it is and depending on what direction they're going to go with the first female they introduce, that's going to mean anything. Typically, if money's involved, they're usually a gold digger. So I was kind of upset at first with Araki because I was like, oh man, she didn't seem to be that way. Like, why is this sudden, why does this sudden gold digger person like come out of her? I was like, but like, apparently that was never the case with her, and it was just strictly because she grew up poor and she wanted to make sure her parents could, live a good life, and that kind of like, bled into everything else for her, and wanting everybody to be happy. And apparently, something that was never really. That's another reason I kind of wish they had more episodes of Uraraka in it. Apparently, she can spot sadness really easily in a crowd of people, like in a crowd that nobody could really spot it. She's capable of picking out people who are sad, and she was capable of finding Toga because of it. So I was like, I really wish they fleshed out more of like, Uraraka's, interesting abilities for, in not just like having us learn that she's learning gunhead martial arts, which I guess really didn't pan out too much other than when her quirk awakens and pretty much kind of pulls the Shigaraki when she touches somebody. Everybody touching the person she touched gets immediately affected by her zero gravity, and she just starts moving people around. And also reading up on that awakening too, for clarification too. Um, she can do that indefinitely. Now I'm pretty sure it's gonna really heavily wreck her, and she's gonna get really nauseous after the fact. I'm guessing it's gonna be the the um the negativity behind that, but I don't know. I don't think I read anything about a negative impact on her from doing that. Um, but that whole moment too, when she was like doing spacewalk, and then everybody around her was like floating around, and even like one of the pussycats were saying that like she affected everybody with gravity that was she was they were touching. I think he mentions like these kids like pushing their quirks beyond where they were at first, and the adults seeing they're doing the best they can, and I was like, that's freaking awesome. Like Uraraka's gonna become a really good hero in the long run, and so will Froppy, because like I don't think Toga probably would have like, or at least Uraraka wouldn't have been able to get close enough to Toga without Froppy taking some of the attention off of her.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, I don't even know. Did she stab Froppy? Like, did Toga stab Froppy, or was she going to?
She was going to.
Okay. It's another thing too. Do you remember anybody that Toga's killed? Cause I was trying to think if Toga's killed anybody.
Didn't she kill that old man that or old lady in the alley or whatever? That Uraraka tried to stop her.
Wasn't that old lady just her in disguise though? Well, I guess actually if she was able to do it. Hmm. I guess she had to be right about, but she hadn't killed anybody up to that point, has she? For the most part, when she gets blood from people, she just scratches them and takes their blood.
Yeah, as far as I can tell.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But I guess actually on Toga as we can close this out because like I mean I didn't really have much to say about this episode. I really enjoyed it. I love the. I guess I'll let you say things to say some stuff too if you want. I love the visual of the pink and the black like coalescing with each other, and even when like Satman's Legion kind of just petered out like as you put out, I kind of think that was kind of poetic in a really weird way. It was like a way it was. I think to me it showed that Toga was finally coming down, um, from her rage from whatever from where it started, and just like Toga. I mean, regardless of what she's done, Toga had a very hard life. She spent a good portion of it hiding her true self, and then when that lady from like season 7, I think, or not season 7, season 6 or 5, where she was like telling her, like you can, you don't have to hide behind a mask, and then when that happened, that's when I guess most of the personality changes that she went through showed up, and how she's acting now um kind of showed up, and it was interesting to see that happen, and see Toga like you see what was going on with Toga's mind and what was going on in there and what she was thinking, and then her opening up to Uraka, telling. I mean, we as the audience were already privy to what was going on with her, and in her life. But as I was like, I feel kind of bad for her. I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing you want to prevent from somebody. I mean, this is like the equivalent of like I hate to use this a real life example, but this is the equivalent of like bullying a kid and not knowing that they have a gun at home, and then they come straight to school with it to kill the bully because the bully's not leaving them alone, and it's been that harsh. This is like an extreme case, but it's like like she got bullied at home and she had no place to be. She didn't. She just wanted to live how she wanted to live, and unfortunately, her quirk was making it impossible for her to do that. Apparently, that boy that looked like Deku, somebody made an interesting like thing. I think you said the exact same thing. At least I think you did. You know that other lookalike for Deku, the guy who has the Earth power and everything like that, or the Tremors. Somebody made mention that those two look alike, and it kind of dawned on me. I was like, is it possible that those two are the same person?
Who are the same person one more time? I'm sorry.
The look-alike from the other class that looked like Deku that had the earthquake powers.
Oh,
Because somebody brought up that like those two look alike. Could it be those? Could it be that those two are related? But I don't know. I never even thought about that. That maybe the Quake dude
we
might
still don't
be.
know who Deku's father is.
But that's a kid though, and I highly doubt that Deku's mother would be. I'm not even gonna finish that sentence, but I know the creator mentioned that he forgot to deal that detail, and I don't know. I mean, we know that Deku's father has a flamethrower quirk. That's all about we know about him. I don't know if we really need to know who his father is. If I'm being real, unless he's gonna provide some pertinent information for Deku. I don't know. Kind of like the same thing with Ash Ketchum. We still don't know his father, and his journey in the anime is over. You do not know who Ash's father is. So, but yeah,
They completed the story of Pokemon.
yeah. I mean, like there's another set of characters in the Pokemon anime right now that I actually haven't been watching. But I know Ash's journey is over. Like they ended his like run in the anime. Though it sounds like that he could show up in the anime again at some point. So I don't know. But he isn't the main character anymore, as far as I'm aware. But the anime is still going on. It's another character. It's like Lyko. It's her name. And she's traveling with a couple other characters. I've been meaning to watch them. I haven't gotten around to it yet. Um, but yeah, it's like I guess what I say. I really like Uraraka. I like this. If this was like the ending of everything she's going to be doing for this war, which I'm guessing based on that she got stabbed in the stomach. Um, and right now she's like preoccupying Toga's time right now, so keeping her there might be better for everybody. Um, I feel sorry for Toga. I really do. I hope that whatever happens to her next, which I mean, honestly speaking, she's got to be put in jail, which is gonna be the sad part. Does that mean yeah, she did some bad things, but a part of it was just society. You have anything to say or add?
Well, I'd still like to go back to the Uraraka thing. Like Uraraka, her whole conversation with Toga. You said that you think it's all truth. Like I was wondering if she was trying to say the right things to try to manipulate Toga into not being so violent. Like if she was, because Toga had like a big force in front of her, like an army that's like literally like a giant tidal wave. Like I was wondering if she was just saying things sometimes to say the right thing to like kind of manipulate Toga into behaving the way she needed her to.
I don't think Uraraka's capable of manipulation. Like I really don't think she's capable of it. It's the same thing with Deku. I don't think these two are capable of manipulation because like they have to have like a I mean, not that they don't have a sense of right and wrong, but I think they're just too honest. And like the whole thing too with Deku was affecting people. Um, Uraraka being a person that fell in love with him in the first place, like to me, is like okay, his honesty must have really like must have really run off on like rubbed off on her. And on top of that, to add on to that, I mean, the stories that we've heard about her as a kid, like I mean, those weren't even told to people. We were just watching them as they happened. I don't even think she was really telling. No, I guess like in a really weird way, with especially with the arm in her way. But I mean, I don't think she's capable of manipulation. And honestly, I don't think Toga would have fell for it either if it wasn't really true or whatever. I don't think Toga is manipulable. If I had to be honest.
Yeah, that makes sense. I wasn't saying it like as if she was being malevolent. Like on Discord, you said it was like that you didn't sense any malevolence from her. I thought she was maybe doing what she had to do to save lives. You know?
I get all that, but I'm just saying that for me, it was just like to me, up to this point, Uraka hasn't displayed any ability to manipulate. Um, and I believe to this point, up to this point when she had her conversation, she probably was saying things to get to Toga, even if they were true, just to get her to respond a certain way. But I think when Uraka realized that that wasn't going to work, she had to be truthful, which is like why I believe she even let out that she is in love with Deku. She didn't need to tell that to Toga. Of all the things to tell to Toga, why let that slip? I probably was thinking, like, is Deku nearby? Was he able to hear that? But I don't think he was. But as a joke
Right.
anyway. But that whole letting her know that she had a crush on Deku isn't necessarily something that's gonna get her to act a certain way. If anything, that's just making her vulnerable. And Toga hears that, all she's gotta do is kill Deku. That would get Uraka to respond a certain way. Pretty
Yeah.
much, she literally let her heart out there, literally, just to get her to at least say something back to her. I guess it's something also sadder too, um, with the whole Deku lookalike that she fell in love with, Toga fell in love with back in her school. Um, I find it kind of sad that it sounds like she never, based on what she was saying when I was able to suss out, it sounds like she never talked to him. I was I was always under the assumption that she had killed him back when they had first brought that up. But maybe I was wrong. And on top of that, it sounds really weird that she never went up there and talked to him. She makes mention that she never did talk to him because she didn't think she thought her want to drink his blood would make her less cute to his eyes, so she never even approached him.
Did you say she had killed him?
Yeah, I thought she had killed the Deku lookalike, the one that she fell in love with back in her school.
It's not impossible, but I don't remember that at all.
But no, based on the way she was talking about him, she never approached him. She never went near him. Because she makes mention that she wanted to drink his blood, but she didn't want to go up there and ask him for that. She didn't want to do any of that. She didn't want to get near him, so she never went near him.
Right.
So I don't think she even killed him. I don't know. Like just like honestly, if I'm being real, Toga would be an interesting character to do a spin-off series on just to see what her life was like. I mean, I know the creator doesn't want to do prequels, but seeing Toga's life in a manga would have been interesting to see, just to see what went on there. Her backstory is interesting. If it wasn't for us knowing everything we know about Dobby, I would say Dobby would be an interesting side character to make a story about. But I think we learned everything about Dobby that we can. I think.
Yeah, I don't think there's much left
Well, I mean,
to do
besides
with
that ice
that.
thing, we don't know anything about that ice thing that was in his chest. That was a random bit of information that he just dropped on us.
Yeah.
So I mean, maybe they could make a story off of that. Maybe we could find out that he had. Maybe that's the reason why he survived so long. Because I mean, they never really did confirm how he was surviving for so long. Maybe that's how he was doing it, inadvertently using as Mother's quirk. Um, but yeah, I think that's about it for this episode. Like again, I really like Uraraka. This just makes me like really like her a little bit more. Is she the greatest character in the world? No, but I mean, I like what they did with her and what they, Horikoshi proved me wrong. I assumed so many negative things after the whole crush thing with Deku that I got really concerned about a character, and I've been thoroughly surprised ever since then. I'm like, okay, this is an interesting way to write a character that has a crush on the main character. Don't completely make her useless just because she's in love with him. But yeah, I like that. I like
Do you
the.
think her power was too big, making every single twice clone float?
No, I don't think that power up was too big. I think the power up worked as. I will say I wasn't thinking about like pretty much giving her an artificial like gravity space around her. That was interesting way to do it. You know, her quirk is basically contact, so I guess do what Shigaraki's quirk did. Um, and basically all it really does is make it just she controls the gravity of everybody that of the person that she's touching and every person that's touching the person that she's touching. So like it's not like maybe like how I would have done it, which is like maybe she's able to throw like an anti gravity force field from her hands, and just toss it into somebody, and she has complete and utter autonomy over how they move from that point on. But I think this works out, and based on the fact that we know how she's able to turn her quirk off, I mean, hey, she's got full control to turn that off and turn it back on again. Uh, Though it seems like the only reason, like I guess another thing too I want to bring up is something that I feel like I kind of started noticing about some of the characters that have had their quirks awaken. Another thing too is I want to say I think Ida had a quirk awakening too, and we just didn't see it, or we saw it but we didn't think anything of it when it happened. Um,
Couldn't have been a big quirk awakening though.
I think it was the speed thing. I don't think Ida was able to move at transonic speed before. I mean, even with Shoto being the temperature augmenter for how fast he was moving. It almost seemed like to me the reason why that Shoto even made the airplane was that Ida could not move side to side or whatever because like his speed boost just causes him to fly forward. I guess I don't know. Like I mean, I say like I feel like maybe he had a quirk rating, but like really what I'm bringing up Ida for is the fact that something that Ida said that I completely decided not even talk about is the fact that Ida says that his reasoning for his quirk to use his quirk is to carry the children on his back to safety. And an interesting way is like if that was like if his quirk rating happened then and it happened based on him discovering what he wanted his quirk for and what he wanted his quirk to do, then the speed boost makes a lot of sense. You know, he's able to get in and get out really quickly. And in a really weird situation, like Uraraka wanting to reach out to Toga and help her out and whatever, and lighten people's fall, make people happy, and lift people up and whatnot. Literally lift people up. Maybe her quirk literally just responded to that because again, earlier on in the show, we have Bakugo explain to us that quirks are kind of like parts of the body. They're like an extension, kind of. They may not be an arm or a leg, but the human body responds to our brain and sometimes what we're thinking, what we want to happen in a really interesting way. Maybe that's what quirk awakenings are for, or what they are is the body allowing the quirk to do what the user wants to, when they find out what they want to do with it, ultimately. Like rescue people, lift them up, make people happy. I mean, I guess it's an extreme for Uraraka's quirk to awaken that way. because I wasn't expecting her quirk to do what it did. Like that was ridiculous. I mean, I like it. It's an interesting power up, and she doesn't have to use it. You know, basically she can keep just tapping people and lifting up and whatnot. And also it allows her to use gunhead martial arts a little bit more effectively, and she doesn't have to like touches you once and that's it. You're dead. You're you're floating in midair. So he can just send you flying into a wall and be done with you. Is it like a powerful one? Sure. I mean, but again, I think it's about time some of the female characters in anime get like a really powerful power up. Because for the most part, they either don't get one or they get a very, very, very small one.
Yeah.
I mean, give Uraraka a really powerful power boost. Female characters don't get that a lot or at all. Like, shoot, do it. Um, So yeah, I'm happy that that happened. You know, it was a really cool. I like the way it looked, and it came at a time that makes a lot of sense. Versus it happening at any other point during that confrontation with Toga. I had expected for Robbie to get one, but I guess I don't know what will her quirk awakening look like. I had no idea. What if her quirk awakening was her stomach? How would you feel about that?
What if the quirk what?
What if Robbie's quirk awakening was her stomach? Realizing that she could like throw her stomach out. So actually, not thinking about it, maybe her quirk awakening is the camouflage thing, because that's like such a random ability for her to get. I get frogs are able to camouflage, but that's like a random ability for Froggy to get randomly just suddenly. Oh, she can now make herself and like blend in with her surroundings.
Yeah, that was it was an okay extra little quirk just to show that they were growing.
But yeah, but I guess with that, the ending, I feel like based on what I'm hearing from some people, I think the next episode is the finale for My Hero season 7. And what the title they clearly call the title of it "Fighting About a Quirk." So All Might's got something up his sleeve, or up his suitcase in this case. And then also All Might, I mean, All for One is apparently missing an arm at some point. I'm not sure what happens. I'm very confused at what was going on in that round in that preview. I think with that, we will really quickly get into Kenshin. What the heck? I guess like again, and this is another one of those. There's not. I guess I don't really have much to say. Like Kenshin season 2, episode 1 starts off like I expected it to. Not that say I'm not excited for the show to come back. I'm really excited for the show to come back. I'm really excited for some of the future things going on. And I think based on what happens in this episode with Sanosuke fighting Saito, I think is what his name is, and like what he discovers that he needs to get stronger to help Kenshin out. I think this is the arc that it happens in where he gets like a really cool like thing, a thing to do. I probably said too much as it is for Spear. I apologize. You might want to cover your ears for some of this. um, but yeah, I guess like what do you like? You have anything like do you have anything particular you want to talk about with Ruroni Kenshin here?
Um, I like the continuation. I like how it's being set up. The I appreciate that the focus of this episode wasn't on Kenshin, that it was really mostly on the other characters and their reaction to him disappearing. Of course, they all unanimously decide they're going to follow Kenshin, even and can't be talked out of it, even by very good arguments for why they shouldn't do why they shouldn't follow. Um, I enjoy Sanosuke as a character, and I liked the fight that he had, and how he held up, and took a bunch of shots, and took the shot to his wounded arm, and did some damage back with that punch to the other guy that he didn't let on was really hurting him until he dropped his cigarette later on his own. So I think that was kind of cool. The I don't know, Caraway and Megume like showed that they both shared a love for Kenshin, and like it finally came out in like a visible way. Like now that he wasn't there, they were able to kind of show their emotions a little bit more openly, and like like he wasn't like they couldn't do really in front of him. Um, so I appreciated that a lot. The I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, Kairu or Kairi. How you pronounce that? What did you just say about like Kairu? I think it's.
I keep saying Caraway, but
Uh, I mean, I understand her, but Megumi, I don't really know about like feelings for Kenshin. But then as I was thinking about this earlier, because you said that in a
you
text.
don't know that about feelings from Kenshin, but she says it outright.
Yeah, I don't. Here's the thing about that. I think she did that on purpose to get Kaoru to respond and get her to get up and stop feeling sorry for herself and whatnot, and get her to feel her feelings a little bit.
She's always talked about having like feelings for for Kenshin, though. That's not new.
I don't think she's got feelings for him though. But I mean, again, as I'll explain, I guess it's one of those things like maybe it's something I didn't pick up on when they were doing the show, and based on information I already know. Well, I guess I don't know. I don't know anything if I'm being real about it. Because again, I don't remember. Again, I Megumi slipping past my memory really irks me because like I don't remember her, but I do remember how important of a role a doctor in the show is. So I know how important she is
You don't remember from what, the anime or something else?
from the first anime because like she
Oh,
was
from
in
the first
there.
anime.
Because she was in there. I remember that. I remember she was in the first anime, but I don't. When I was watching this, I completely forgot about her existence altogether. It wasn't until she shows up in the anime that I remembered that she was in the original, and that is irritating me because like, why don't I remember her? Because she even goes out and say that she really wants to go to Tokyo, and she's going to after she does what she needs to do. No, wait. She wants to go to Kyoto, but she's got to do everything. She's got to do some stuff here first before she can go. And it's like she's gonna be there for a long while. Um, and when she goes over there to charge Karu to get her to go to get up and go down there because Karu spent after she left. It just Kenshin told her to her face that goodbye and then left, and she was really upset and whatnot. She hadn't been eating for days. Um, and Yahiko went to go and get the restaurant tourists to come over and talk to her because Megumi came over there because Yahiko told her what was going on, told Megumi what was going on, and Megumi got upset that Kaoru was like, laying around doing nothing, and she went over there. A part of like I feel like she telling her Kaoru that she has feelings for Kenshin. It was just her way of poking fun because again, as you said before, this isn't the first time she said this to her in the first place, but in my honest opinion, I think she was just playing around because she knows that she's got feelings for Kenshin and she ain't do anything about it. Typically, that's the kind of role they have two female characters like that know of each other, kind of from like play to each other in this type of show back when this was new. Uh, this it was an older woman with younger woman, and older woman always teasing a younger woman, even though the older woman is probably jealous of the younger woman for some very small reasons, but reasons they think is that they deem is worth it. But I guess it seems like I don't really know much about her. I don't remember much about Megumi, so her having feelings for Kenshin, maybe that slipped my mind too. I don't know. Because the problem is like in my mind, I'm pairing her with Sanosuke, but again, they haven't had any interaction enough for that kind of thing to pop up, if it's possible. But then again, I think Megumi's older than Sanosuke too. I think because she's like, isn't she in her 20s? I think Sanosuke is like 19. So if that is, maybe they're not
He's
that much
older than
older.
Sanosuke. Megumi's older than Sanosuke.
Let me just.
Now you have to check it out, huh?
I just want to know exactly how old she's supposed to be. 22. I think that's her current age. Is that her actual age right now? I say 22, but I know Sanosuke is supposed to be 19. So I think that's like 3-year difference. 19, 18. Wait, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, 3-year difference. That's not ridiculous of an age gap. Romance could
No,
butt
not
between
at
that.
all.
That's if that's where they're going with these two. But again, like I said before, like I'm thinking it's like, well, if Sanosuke hasn't had a situation, like I mean, right now we know he doesn't like her because she was an opium dealer. But I don't know. As an intent to not look deeper into Megumi just to see if she ends up anybody, like I'm gonna not do that. But I don't know why I keep picturing those two together. But maybe I don't know. I guess we'll just go use with the whole, like, maybe she was telling the truth there. But I mean, she definitely did cry after telling her that. And we also found this information that I completely was shocked by is the fact that he only went up and talked to Kaoru and told her goodbye. He didn't tell anybody else goodbye. We find that out from Yahiko, that caught me off guard a little bit. I was like, oh, he only confronted her? Jeez. Yeah, that's gotta hurt. Like, I don't know. I don't even know how I would respond to that. Actually, if I'm being real,
You did respond to it.
did I?
Yeah.
What did I say? Did I completely
So,
just
gee,
say?
gotta hurt.
Oh, I was just more speaking. Just like I mean, it was clearly that it hurt everybody else, but like Karu was hurting, a lot too. Like again, like yeah, this entire episode kind of played out how I was expecting it to, because I remember correctly, Kenshin left and we're picking up exactly from where he left. Makes me wonder is like I wonder if they like by the time they got down to the ending of the season one, maybe they didn't have a season planned out, but they managed to get down to the Kenshin thing, the Kenshin leaving, and maybe they thought maybe we can make this into multiple seasons. We just cut right here and come up with the Kyoto disturbance. We can get more people interested and get more money to do more. Uh, so I don't think anything beyond the Kyoto stuff I'm aware of. So I'm actually hoping. I think there's like one more story beyond this one. I think another character in Kitchen's past. But I didn't get a chance to look at much of it or anything really important. I know of a character. I know of a few characters' names. And I think one of them comes up during the Kyoto disturbance. So I'll probably bring it up more when it comes up, or if it ever comes up. Again, I don't know if they're going how long this season's going, and if they're going beyond it. I hope they do, because there needs to be a proper end to this freaking story in anime form. They haven't done it yet. And I would say don't look at the intro song for this, because there's a character in there that I recognize that hasn't shown she hasn't shown up yet in the thing, but I think you already watched the intro, right?
The intro to
Ruroni
Kenshin?
Kenshin? Yeah.
Yes.
Never mind, that doesn't really matter. You've already seen all the characters.
Yeah, there was a lot of characters there I didn't know. I don't know who they are.
I wish I warned you to not to, maybe if
Especially
you
that,
didn't want to see them, but yeah, whatever.
especially that one girl.
Yeah, that part of that's what I was really remembering, because like at the end of that one, you see that she's traveling behind Kenshin.
She's in the closing credits a lot too.
Wait, what? I mean, there was no closing credits. That ending thing was the intro song to the anime.
There's closing credits. I'm looking at them right now. It shows her running through the woods and stuff. In fact, most of the closing credits are about that female character. Like if you watch the closing credits, it's almost like the show's about her and not Kenshin anymore.
That's Kyra. I thought this is like the intro song. So this was what it looked like to me. Wait, so was the intro? Was the intro actually at the beginning? I thought in the. Wait a minute. Now I'm getting myself confused because most animes they don't do that in the first episode of a new season. They usually wait to the end of the anime to show the intro. If they didn't do that here, that's a shock. Wow, I literally completely forgot they did. Okay, so they didn't do what they normally do for shows. Well, that's really weird. Maybe they don't think Kenshin's going to be a showstopper, so they didn't bother doing that. It's kind of disappointing. Well, if I remember correctly, that Kanoichi, I think is what she is. She holds some importance. If I remember correctly, I don't remember exactly what. A part of me think that she's connected. Should I even say? I mean, the character I'm about to say you're already aware of. I don't remember their connection though. Not Shishio. Crap. What's his name? The young samurai that Kenshin fought. The guy who knew Kenshin was a Batosai before anybody else did. He was the leader of the group of mercenaries that they all fought near the end of the first season. Crap, I forgot his name. Shinzo, I think is his name.
I don't know.
He's like a tall dude who's kind of like Vegeta. Like who I said he's actually the Vegeta of the show. I forgot his name. He's like a crap. It's gonna bug me. No, that's not who I want. Shinomori Ayoshi. I think him and her are connected somehow. In what way I don't know. Or I should say I don't remember. But something in the back of my mind is telling me that they're connected. And I remember, if I remember correctly too, at least what's bugging me is that she's important. She's really important too. But at the end of the intro, because like I think she's seen sporadically throughout the intro at the very beginning here, um, sporadically throughout it, and then near the end of the intro, she's like right there walking behind Megumi as they're walking to the tower over here.
Mm-hmm.
She's directly walking with them. So at some point, I think she's supposed to be their enemy, and then at some point she becomes their ally. Under what circumstances, I do not know. I was kind of quite interesting too. Out of the other characters, though, it's like Sanosuke is not walking, level to level with him. Like he's like pretty far back. But if you look at like where Karu is walking, like she's almost like right next to him. Like her position is like very, I guess, would say be important for I guess how they feel about each other. I just like noticed that. Also, it's interesting that Megumi is like really walking kind of behind Sanosuke. What the heck? I just noticed that.
Yeah, for a little while I thought those two were going to be shipped.
I mean, I think people are shipping them. I just don't know what the creator's doing with the show with these two.
Right.
But that is purposely. She is purposely behind Sanosuke in this thing. What the heck? Like that is on purpose. They could have easily put her in between here or something like that. No, she's on the side with him. I also just noticing Yako is like a little bit like behind Koru. I want to say they're almost level here. You might as well sit there and say that's what they are, but like, that's kind of cool. It's like a little family op over here. Not really family, but you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, Cause I noticed this when I saw this, like, oh dang it, man, they really shouldn't have done that. I really wish they hadn't. Like, maybe they should have like whited her out so that way people, if you've never seen the show, you don't know she's supposed to be with them. But whatever. I'm guessing maybe this show likes to do things quick, like My Hero. So I guess I expect that we'll see her soon. I don't remember seeing like any credits for like what's happening next episode, so I don't know. I don't know what's next. But with that, I want to see something really quick because I think already Kenshin's coming out every Friday. I want to say. Well, that's disappointing. There's no release date for another episode yet. Hmm. uh,
Probably every. If it was out Friday, it's probably every Friday.
is October 4th Friday? Yeah, October 4th. So I guess I'll keep my eye on October 11th. But I will say, now that I'm saying this out loud, there seems to be a small issue. I don't know if they're running the same time slot or not. But Dragon Ball Daima is at least scheduled to come out, I think, on that actual day. At least in Japan, anyway. It's probably gonna get a worldwide release on the 18th. I don't know why they're doing it this way, but for people who want to watch, we're not going to review it, but this is information for people who want to watch it. I'm just trying to find out. Dragon Ball Daima will premiere on Netflix globally on the 18th. The Japanese television premiere is on October 11th. So I don't know. Maybe Ruroni Kenshin's going to be on a break for a week, I guess. But the problem is I don't know, like, because like it's really weird that I don't see any information about the next episode of Ruroni Kenshin anywhere. Now I'm willing to believe that it's going to come out on the same day every week, but I don't know. Usually they have the next episode already ready to, premiere and whatnot. Yeah, there is nowhere where an episode 2 is being. This is so weird. Maybe because My Hero. Well, no, My Hero's coming out on a Saturday, isn't it? Guess I'll have to wait and see. That's strange. Because the episode 21's already got for My Hero's already got a release date. October 12th, and that's a Saturday. So that's not interfering with anything. It to me, it almost seems like the spot that Ruroni Kenshin was holding is gonna get replaced with Daima for some reason. At least releasing in Japan. Guess I'll have to keep my eye out and see what's going on with that. Maybe some more information will get dropped out on that. I had no idea. Okay, I guess I'll have to keep my eye on that. But I look forward to the next episode of Ruroni Kenshin, and then I also look forward to the finale for My Hero Academia.
Yeah.
And I guess if Ruroni Kenshin doesn't air next Friday, I guess we'll be reviewing just the episode for My Hero, which is fine. It's a season finale anyway.
Yeah.
So I guess
Are
I'll.
we getting to it? Or we could just do what we did today and talk until like 10:50.
Is that a shot at me?
We talked until like literally 10:50.
No, I think when we talked like 9:50. I think it's like when we're on 10 is like when I decided to like literally throw in that very 30-minute long apparently review for gummy bears that probably no one's ever going to eat. But I thought it was funny because I wanted to hear your reaction to it. I think I got what I paid for.
It was pure poetry.
Like, that was an interesting bit of thing I read there. I do not regret my decision to do that. So unfortunately, I don't know if that's like on the podcast or not because I apparently did not swap over to like the main podcast scene. But oh, whatever. Though your yoga mat thing definitely made the cut, that's for sure.
Oh, good.
I have to see it.
Mine wasn't as long.
Not about length here on the podcast, man. It's all about how you use it. Okay, good night, everybody. Next week, My Hero Academia for sure. Ruroni Kenshin. I have no idea what's going on there. My one of my major concerns is already happening because it's like, oh no, that is so weird though. I thought that's bugging me a little bit now. I was like, I wonder if they're moving Ruroni Kenshin to Thursday. Maybe they realize what they've done and they realized they had to scramble together to get Ruroni Kenshin somewhere. It is quite possible that they realized what they accidentally done. That's crazy. Oh, the Dragon Ball's coming out on Thursday. They're talking about Friday. That's the weird part too. That's just the Japanese release date. The 11th. Worldwide on Netflix is when they're releasing it everywhere else on the 18th. So Japan gets to view it first for some reason. Oh yeah, one last thing before we leave here. I should have said this earlier. Rest in peace, Don. What's his name? I think Don Chris. No, Doc Harris. People don't know who he is. He was the original. He was the narrator on Dragon Ball Z in the English dub.
Hey, the next season of Vox Machina just came out on October 3rd.
I never finished the first season.
You never finished the other seasons?
No, I really don't know what's going on with me in that show.
I really like it.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad that it pulls you in. I like you being able to enjoy things that I don't enjoy for some reason. I do not get any joy out of it either. Just saying, it just happens.
You like plenty of stuff I've recommended. You liked Moribito. You liked Kino's Journey for the most part. You've liked things I've recommended before.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying. Like, I mean, I like you to have things that you want to be able to watch that you're excited for. I'm kind of sad that you weren't able to enjoy One Punch Man because they got season 3 coming out soon. So, oh well.
I mean, I could give it another try. I just don't know when I'd find the time for it.
Oh yeah, and I also added on with Story if you ever get around to doing that, watching that. But yeah,
I added with Story to my watch list.
yeah. I mean, you get on. I mean, like maybe when you start watching it, there'll be another season. Cause that thing's like 12 episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. With that, guys, rest in peace, Doc Harris. I wish I could say next time. Actually, I guess I can. Next time on the podcast, we'll be reviewing My Hero for sure.